They say my sisters are difficult to please. Maybe. I'm sure that there's women out there, my sisters included, who have a certain standard. They're not willing to settle. I'm sure that that's the case. Can you blame them? I'm not blaming them. I got my standards. I'm not settling for certain things. So why should my sisters settle? Now, the whole difficulty to please thing, that's just a communication breakdown between the individuals involved. Again, it's not a stigma of my freaking sisters, man. There's plenty of people that are difficult to please. Everybody is made up differently. Everybody has their own desires, their own wants, and their own needs. There's no stigma that you put on my sisters and say, hey, all black women are difficult to please. Again, we know that this nonsense comes from the relationship issues that our men speak about our sisters. We know that's where that stuff comes from. But as I've talked about before, which I'm going to sound like a broken record all the time, there's always two sides to the story. There's always two sides to the story of why this man is talking about, man, she was too difficult to please. They want everything. They want the world. Yeah. Okay. Some of my sisters may want hefty desires. Hefty, what's the word I'm looking for? It's escaping me right now. They are trying to, aspirations. Heavy aspirations. You here on this earth, you're trying to live your life. You're trying to be abundant in some kind of capacity. I mean, if you're not trying to get the best, and you're not trying to be as happy as you possibly can be, what are you here for? Now, you got other purposes for sure, but what are you really here for if you are not here to receive everything that life has to offer that is going to enhance your life? So for my sisters that you're hearing about them being too difficult to please, like I said, there's nothing wrong with them having what they wish to have in their life. Now, can they compromise? That's what communication is for. That's what you need to do when you're in a relationship. You got to communicate. You on the other side, as far as the men are concerned, if someone has these hefty aspirations or these standards that are above what you wish to do, guess what? You don't have to freaking be with them. I mean, come on. I mean, it's the stupidest thing in the world when I hear this dumb stuff with men talking all this dumb stuff about women, like as if there's not freaking billions of women on this earth. And you sit here and you have to do podcasts, you have to do posts, you have to do, staging events and all this other nonsense to talk all this stuff about one particular set of women, of what your experiences have been, and that's what you hate and all this other stuff. But it's like, when I look and I hear this nonsense, I'm like, you didn't realize you had a choice? Like, people show you what they are when you first meet them. They're going to show you kind of a pattern. They're going to give you an idea of who they are, what their characteristics are, what their habits are. You're going to figure out that stuff. Now, there's some things you can't really figure out until you actually live with the person. But for the most part, you can kind of get a feeling for when you're dating a person and you start to figure out what are their icks and You know, what are the pet peeves you have about them and stuff like that. And in that process of courting, you have the right, you have the ability to switch off and say, nah, that's not what I'm rolling with. I'm good with that. But no, what happens is you think that person's going to change. You think they're going to change. And then when they don't change, then you want to complain when you're out of the situation. You want to complain about what happened in that situation. When you all along had the ability to get out of it, to make the decision to say, nah, I'm not going to sit up here and please you and put you up on this mountaintop. I'm not going to do all of the stuff that you expect me to do. You had the ability to make that decision. It blows my mind when I hear these dudes, these corny dudes, talking all this stuff like you talking after the fact. But you know what? I get it. I get it with a lot of these men. It's views, especially the rage baiting, the anger stuff. It's views. It's sort of like what I'm doing when I post my little titles. And I'm not even putting it there because I'm trying to get views that are actually going to enhance my page. I'm trying to get it because I'm trying to attract the people. Most of them. I would love it if it was more of my sisters who could see it, to realize that I'm actually speaking against my titles, which I do say that. I do indicate that a little bit. But I'm trying to get the folks who are looking for that rage bait material to then click on my video and be like, man, this dude, man, what? Man, I thought you were going to give me some meat. I thought you were going to give me those potatoes, man. I thought you were going to help me out. I thought you were going to, you know, allow me to fester in my misery. Nah. That's the views. That's the views that I'm getting, is people clicking on it. I'm like, oh, shoot. Now, some of the people that could pick up the titles, hey, I appreciate you looking at my videos. But it's really for the folks who have those thoughts about my sisters, because maybe, just maybe, if they listen to the video long enough, maybe they'll get a different perspective. Maybe. I don't care if they don't, because I believe what I believe and I know what I know. But it is something to be able to put on to show people that what you hear, what you see, is simply not necessarily everybody's experience. You know what I mean? So, again, if my sisters are difficult to please, they have every right, just like any other human out here has any right, to choose to have a standard, to choose to have certain criteria. They have every right to do that. Now, the other issue is, if my sisters are having a challenge, if they're having a challenge in getting and receiving the things that they want, then maybe you've got to start looking internally. Start looking internally to figure out what's going on with you. Why is it that you're not attracting the things that you want? Is there compromise that you have to have? Maybe. Is there something that you got to work on within yourself? Maybe. Because, see, the thing is that you have to come to the table also. And you have to be able to be an asset. You got to bring things to the table if you want what you're looking for. You know, it's like the phrase of do unto others as you are looking to be done unto you. You know what I mean? It's just reciprocal. There's certain things that maybe you have to adjust within yourself in order to receive the things that you are asking for. So that's a whole nother thing that we could talk about, have a video about and stuff like that. For sure, I'm going to be talking to those topics. But I'm just talking on the things, the stereotypes right now, the stigmas that they give my sisters. Right? So, men, you don't have to be with them if they're too difficult. That's it. Point blank. You don't have to be with them. So I don't know why you wasting all this time and going through the whole motion, and just so that you can have a story to tell and have trauma that you have and a whole bunch of baggage and stuff. Like, that's super unproductive. Like, that makes no sense. But there's a lot of men that are out there doing that stuff, and then that gives them the excuse to say, oh, that's why I gotta go to that race. That's why I like those women. And you don't realize that that's a woman who has different traits and personalities that are similar to that sister. You ain't escaping it. You ain't escaping it. You think those sisters don't have certain things, and maybe they may be submissive. Maybe they may be submissive, but then there's things that you're missing out with that particular relationship, with having somebody that's submissive. It ain't all what it's cracked up to be. The grass ain't greener on the other side when you have somebody who's submissive and does everything that you want them to do. Because sometimes those women may get fed up. Sometimes those women may have an issue later on. And then all of a sudden, sometimes you hear with those men that, oh, you got married to him, you did all these things, and then the girl turned on you and then took you for everything that you had, right? Meanwhile, that sister who would have probably held you down or whatever wouldn't have done much to sit up here and take everything from you. Maybe that could have been the case. You know what I mean? But like I said, you can go on over to the submissive females, are the ones you think in all these other countries and all that. There's always a motive with other folks too. Anyway, I'm going to catch you on the next note. Peace out.